On behalf of Hyderabad branch of SARC of ICA, today at the outset, I'd like to wish each one of you, the speaker, the program director, the moderator for today, the attendees, and everyone a very happy 72nd Chartered Accountants Day. I'd also like to inform you that every year we celebrate this day on a grand scale at branch, but keeping in view the situation, we did the flag hoisting, we did the activities, but it was restricted mainly to branch committee members and the branch staff only. So yes, we did the flag hoisting. We also planted some trees, and we also distributed masks and soaps, not going to the Nilofer Hospital or Cancer Hospital area, but trying to keep it safe. We have done it first to our own staff and then some people who are in our lane. So that's how the CA Day was celebrated. And then on 5th, we have scheduled a panel meeting, the details of which I'll share it at a later date. My second announcement is generally, I know that CA Day is celebrated and CA Day is celebrated in a big way. But if members pardon me for my small arrogance-like thing, I don't know. I think that CA Day is celebrated because it is a birthday of our very beloved past chairman, Vivek Narasimhan. So I also take it as an occasion. I know I'm wasting time, but every birthday, Vivek, if you can just switch on the video, please. Every birthday of his, the Institute of Hyderabad branch, the Hyderabad branch has spoiled his birthdays, making him do the program. So I thought it's our basic duty to say happy birthday, Vivek. Thank you for coming.
Happy
And
birthday, sir.
many happy returns of the day to you also. And now I will do one thing. I'd request Vivek to just kindly say a few words and then I'll introduce Satish. And as a past chairman, not as a birthday boy, so as a past chairman, you can just give a small comments about the CA Day to the members present.
Sure. Yeah, namaste to all. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
perfectly,
yes.
sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me this a wonderful opportunity. I thank you very much, especially to I am very thankful to the CA profession as a whole because luckily my birthday happened to be on a CA day. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And so happy CA day to all and GST day also. Today happens to be a GST day. We are entering the 4th year of GST day. GST, sorry. And let me appreciate the efforts of the branch and the support of Mr. Satish and his colleagues for conducting this excellent session, brother. We are really learning after 27 years. I started keeping a book, writing, everything, right from the day one, and preparing for the next day. That is a beautiful point. Is for the next day, what is the topic I am preparing today night? Because that is the spirit and that is the enthusiasm the speakers have created. Excellent speakers, excellent coordination by the chairman and Satish ji. We are very thankful to the branch and all the staff. Thank you. I don't want to take much time. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you. Friends, without taking much time, I'll first introduce the speaker of the day, CA Jitendra Patel, who is a commerce graduate from Kakatiya University, Warangal, and a fellow chartered accountant from Hyderabad, practicing for the last 12 years in the field of audit and assurance, as well as indirect tax. He has handled indirect tax litigations under VAT, CST, and currently under GST, apart from dealing in audit and taxation matters. He is currently a proprietor of Mrs. JKPP and Associates and was partner in Mrs. APT and Company LLP and Mrs. Patel Mohan Ramesh and Company. I first present Jitendra Patel to the August audience, but because of the mistake which was committed yesterday, what I'd like to do today is that I'd also like to have a small introduction of our Satish Rauf also. In fact, Satish Bhai, I don't know why, but while I know that this is a course for basic for beginners, but I never knew that you want to keep your profile also very small. So keeping in lieu the profile of the attendees, the profile of Satish Rauf reads as Satish Rauf is a practicing chartered accountant at Hyderabad for the past 19 years, specialized in the areas of value-added tax, central sales tax, and presently GST. He is a graduate of commerce and a graduate of law from Usmania University and fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. His achievements require a session, and frankly, I don't want to leave anything and include something. He is virtually everything. So I welcome the speaker and moderator to this seminar, and it's all over to you, both of you. And Jitendra, I am here only. Whenever you want me to put a poll question, give the number, and I will try to put that.
Sure, sir.
Pankaj Bhai,
Yes, sir.
please allow him to share the screen.
Yeah, 1 second. 1 second. Yes, it's done. Vivek, shall I remove you from this audio or? Yeah. Thank you. Both of us at the same time. Oh no. Yes,
Yes.
carry on, Jitan.
Yeah. Good afternoon, friends. At the outset, I wish everyone a happy CA day. Let us strive together to take profession to a new level. Friends, just a minute.
Yeah, carry on. Sorry, is
Yes.
it visible?
Yeah, my
Oh,
slide
sorry.
was stuck. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, because I wanted to just give the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Friends, this is one of my favorite quote. Transformation does not happen in isolation. How many of you believe this quote? I think most of you. This is proved by the fact that ICI Hyderabad conducting seminar in spite of COVID time to keep transformation in us alive. So I'm happy for Hyderabad branch conducting seminar for keeping the transformation alive in us. Further, I would also like to thank Mr. C.A. Satish Rauf, who is director of this program and who is moderating for this seminar. So, taking this background, the topic for the day is place of supply of goods. Before that, let us discuss why we need to discuss place of supply of goods. Section 9 of CGST Act says that there shall be levy of central goods and service tax on all intrastate levies of goods, services, or both, other than alcoholic for human consumption, and at the value determined under Section 15 and at the rate provided by the government, payable by the taxable person. Further, Section 5 of the IGST provides the similar levy provision, stating that there shall be levied an interstate levy on all goods and services at the rate determined by the government. So let us further, interstate levy and intrastate levy is also provided in IGST Act. Section 7 of IGST Act says, when location of the supplier and the place of supplier are in both different states or different union territories, or in one state or in one union territory, it is a supply in the course of interstate trade or commerce. Further, Section 8 of IGST Act says, when the location of the supplier and the place of supply are in the same state, same union territory, it is a supply, intrastate supply. So while discussing, we got two key terms, that is location of the supplier and the place of supply. Place of supply is the thing of goods we are discussing today. What is location of supply? Location of supplier. Location of supplier of goods has not been defined under the Act. It has to be taken as under the general meaning that it is geographical location where the goods are kept by the supplier of the goods under his control and to be supplied to the recipient. With this background, let us understand with an example. Place of supply. What is the relevance of place of supply? For example, if the location of the supplier is in Telangana and the place of supply is in Telangana, which we will discuss in today's presentation, the GST to be charged is SGST and CGST. It is a case of intrastate supply. Further, if the location of the supplier is in Telangana and the place of supply is in Andhra Pradesh, that is another state, it is an IGST interstate supply and IGST has to be charged. So with this background, let us go for the agenda of today. Today we'll be discussing about place of supply of goods. Place of supply of goods of domestic transaction, which is section 10, and place of supply of goods international transaction, which is section 11. Further, section 10 has two subsections and subsection 1 has 5 clauses and section 11 has 2 subsections. So without taking much further time, let us discuss about domestic transaction. Place of supply of domestic transaction, that is section 10. 10(1) here. Supply involves movement of goods. Where supply involves movement of goods either by the supplier or by the recipient or any other person, the place of supply of such goods shall be at the time at which the movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Let us take the provision for complete. Where the supply involves movement of goods, whether by the supplier or by the recipient or by any other person, the place of supply of such goods shall be the location of the goods at the time at which the movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Here, the keywords are movement of goods, recipient, location of goods. First, we'll take location of goods. Location of goods has to be ascertained by the journey which the goods takes, the journey from the supplier to the ultimate recipient. So the place where the journey of the goods terminates for delivery is the place of supply. Now, we need to also understand who is the recipient in this case. Recipient means where a consideration is payable by the supplier for the supply of goods or service or both, the person who is liable to pay that consideration is a recipient. Where no consideration is payable for the supply of goods, the person to whom the goods are delivered or made available, or to whom the possession or use of the goods is given or made available, and this is in case of service, where no consideration is payable for the supply of service, the person to whom the service is rendered. Further, the section says it includes a recipient as well as his agent. So let us understand with an illustration. Place of supply of goods, 10(1) subsection 1, clause A. Supplier A of Telangana supplies a truck of mangoes to recipient B of Andhra Pradesh. Here, the supplier is A. He is located in Telangana and recipient is B of Andhra Pradesh. Since location of supplier Telangana, recipient Andhra Pradesh, so termination of goods is happening at Andhra Pradesh, 2 different states. Here IGST has to be levied. So what this provision says is the place of supply in case of movement of goods where the delivery terminates is the place of supply of goods. So this is all vanilla based transaction, simple transaction. Most transaction takes place in this way. Going further, section 10(1)(b). Goods supplied on direction of third person.
Jitendra, before you go into 10(1)(b),
Yes, sir.
can I supplement here?
Yes, sir.
You don't have any objection?
No, sir.
Section 10(1)(a) says that location of the goods at the section 10(1) reads like this. 10(1)(a), where the supply involves a movement of goods whereby the supplier or by the recipient or by either other person, the place of supply of such goods shall be the location of the goods at the time at which the movement of the goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Please, will you take the present slide that 10(1)(a) clause, total 10(1) clause is appearing before one. Yeah, here. So it takes in where the goods involves a movement of goods from one place to another place. And the supplier or the recipient or any other person can take the movement of the goods. And location of the goods at the time at which the movement of goods terminate for the delivery. Let us take two examples here. I am purchasing a pen from a stationery shop. I am purchasing a pen from a stationery shop, and I went to the stationery shop and said that I am coming from Hyderabad and I am purchasing this pen in Bangalore. So because I am resident in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and purchasing the pen in Bangalore, whether it will amount to IGST transaction or a transaction liable for CGST plus SGST is one thing we need to examine. Another thing is that where the supplier has agreed to deliver the goods to the location of the recipient on his own, which included into the cost of the consideration. So when the supplier from Hyderabad to say to Agra, even is supplying the goods from Hyderabad to Agra, the goods journey terminates in Agra. But in the same situation, if the delivery of the goods is made by the supplier at the gate of his factory, and the movement of goods from the gate of the factory of supplier to the Agra is taken care by the recipient. In these three scenarios, what will happen? Whether it will be interstate or intrastate, or it will be what kind of a transaction it will be, that we need to understand before we go to the second 10(1)(b). Jitendra, will you answer this? I think you understood my question.
Yeah. Yes. If sir, the movement.
Sir, okay, let me answer. So in the first case where I am purchasing a pen from a stationery shop, the risk and reward is transferred at the premises of the supplier, and the movement of goods is terminating at the doorstep of the supplier.
Correct.
So from there to whether I'll bring it to Hyderabad or I use the pen in Karnataka, or whether I'll go from Karnataka, if I go directly to the Delhi and use the pen there, it is immaterial there. So risk and reward entire totally thing is transferring at his doorstep in Karnataka. So it will be a intrastate transaction. It cannot be called as an interstate transaction, because merely the termination is not going to stop in Karnataka. It is further moves, the pen further moves, it does not make the difference, because where the risk and reward is transferred at the doorstep of the supplier. Coming to the supply made by the supplier from Hyderabad to Agra, where it is included into the consideration, so it will be a IGST transaction. But when the customer is coming to the doorstep of the supplier and taking the delivery of the goods there, and from there he is making a movement of from there to
Satish bhai, I think Satish bhai, it stopped.
switch.
Yeah. I think now again we came back. There is small. It got stuck sometime. Yeah.
Okay. So this section says where the delivery terminates for delivery by the supplier to the recipient, there that is the deciding factor to decide what is the place of supply. So if the supplier is in one state and the recipient is another state, it does not decide the place of supply. As per this section, we have to decide where the delivery is terminated. That is the most important point. That is the crux which I want to drive into your blood. That is only with intention. I have stopped the Jitendra. So I request Jitendra to continue.
Correct, sir. But in the first point, if you say, for example, let's say a sale of a mobile or anything, you said a pen.
Yes. Yes.
So if suppose if in Karnataka, if it's supplied and if I provide Hyderabad address and
Still.
address of delivery as let's say Hyderabad.
Yes.
Even if the risk and rewards are transferred, but for me, I'm using the goods in Hyderabad or in Telangana.
Yes.
So in that case, I think since goods is terminating delivery in Telangana, IGST has to be charged. I mean, even if there is
no. That is one thing that we need to understand. Where it is terminating. Termination from Bangalore, I may go directly to Delhi. Yes. From Bangalore, I can go to Mangalore.
Yes.
From Bangalore, I can go to any other place. From Bangalore, I can go to US. I can fly.
Yes.
So that is not the criteria. The address proof of the recipient is not the criteria.
Right.
If I am a registered person, my registration number is given and the delivery is concluded in Karnataka, but still it is an intrastate transaction. It is cannot be called as an interstate transaction because the delivery is terminated in the state of Karnataka.
Okay.
Just check
so,
that.
So there is a because though the GST is a destination based taxation, yet the destination is the place where the movement is terminated. Once I hand over the pen to you, I cannot decide whether you go to Hyderabad or you go to Delhi or you go to Mysore.
Yes.
So when it is not in your control, you cannot decide on that factor. You have to conclude basing on where the journey of the movement of the goods is terminated. So it is Karnataka only.
Sanjeev, just check the question also of Siddharth Mantri. I think it's a good thing. Again, goods are delivered ex-factory Hyderabad for
transportation to recipient in Agra. The place of supply is Hyderabad or Agra.
So here I'm handing it over to transporter. At the risk is of the person sitting in Agra.
Yes. Practically, coming to the practical aspect, when you are filing the GSTR1 return, the moment you put the other state registration number of the recipient, it will become IGST transaction. But when it is an ex-factory transaction, after the date of the supplier is not responsible for the goods. So from there, the recipient is responsible to take the delivery of the goods and move the goods from the supplier premises to his location. So for the supplier, the termination is in the factory only, factory gate. So it is a intrastate transaction. It cannot be interstate. That is what we have to decide basing on this section. So what was there in the Central Sales Tax Act, that will not come into picture now. Because it is a origination based taxation. Now we are in GST, it is a destination based taxation. There is a lot of sea change in the interpretation of the law. So now where the risk and reward and where the delivery between the supplier and the recipient, where it terminates as per the contract, that is more important. Patel, please continue.
Yes, thank you. Moving forward, section 10(1)(b), goods supplied on direction of third person. So let us understand the provision first. Where the goods are delivered by the supplier to a recipient or any other person on the direction of third person, whether acting as an agent or otherwise, before or during the movement of goods, either by way of transfer of document of title to the goods or otherwise, it shall be deemed that the said third person has received the goods, and the place of supply of such goods shall be the principal place of business of such person. This is a classic case of bill to ship to transaction. Here, third person is directing a supplier to deliver the goods to a recipient. Here, two transactions are involved. One is by the original supplier to the third person, and a third person to another recipient. So here, the third person can be an agent, or he can be normal. He can say that I am a buyer, and he can effect the ownership transfer from him to the recipient before or during the movement of goods, either by way of transfer of title to the goods or otherwise. Similar provision existed in the CST Act also, where we used to use E1 form and C form, so and so forth. So here, the third person takes constructive delivery of the goods, and he enjoys privity of means the contract. He enjoys a privity. He directs the principal supplier to deliver the goods to a ultimate recipient. Please note that this section talks about transaction between principal supplier to the third person, and not from third person to the recipient. The transaction between the third person to the recipient is, for that 10(1)(a) has to be applied. So let us understand with an example. Person A of third party in Telangana instructs person B of Andhra Pradesh to supply 1 truck of mangoes, for example, mangoes, to person C of Karnataka. So here, as per the provision, 3 parties are involved. So principal supplier is B, third party is A, and the ultimate recipient is C. Here, this provision deals with the transaction of B and A only. The transaction between A to C, 10(1)(a) or any other provision we have to apply. We have to see and apply. Okay? So as per the provision, what the provision says is, the principal place of business of the third person becomes the place of supply. So here, the principal place of third person is Telangana. So place of supply becomes Telangana. So as per the section 7, location of supplier is in AP, that is B is in AP, and A is in Telangana. Both are in different state, so it becomes an IGST transaction, and so IGST has to be paid. It is an interstate transaction, and IGST has to be paid. So we will discuss what GST to be charged from A to C in coming slides. Okay. Let's take one more example. Supplier third party A directs B, supplier B of AP, to supply 1 truck of mangoes to recipient C of AP. Here, if you can see, the supplier and recipient are in same state. The fact that they are in same state doesn't matter, because we are not dealing between the supplier and recipient. This section talks about supplier and the third party. So we have to see the location of the supplier is in AP. The third party is located in Telangana, 2 different states. It is an interstate trade, and hence IGST has to be paid. Let us take one more example. Third party Telangana directs supplier B of Telangana to supply goods to C of AP. Here, third party is located in Telangana and supplier is also located in Telangana. Both are in same state, so CGST and IGST has to be paid. The where the goods are delivered is not relevant in this case, because this provision deals with bill to ship to transaction exclusively. Now let us understand the transaction between the third party and the recipient. What tax we need to pay. So third party A of Telangana direct supplier B of Telangana to supply goods to recipient C of Karnataka. So what is the transaction between A to C? That is the third party and the recipient. In this case, the location of the supplier, now the third party Telangana and the recipient is Karnataka. Both are in different state. So it is a case of interstate supply and IGST has to be paid. Yes, sir. Satish sir, do you want to add here anything?
If I add anything, I'll be confusing. And
So,
your explanation was excellent, and I don't have anything to say here. But once you conclude, when I move to the Central Sales Tax Act, then we will discuss about this transaction.
Fine, sir. Fine.
Please continue.
Yeah, thank you. So the first 10(1)(a) we discussed about supply involves movement of goods. Now in section 10(1)(c) says supply does not involve movement of goods. Just a moment. Where the supply does not involve movement of goods, whether by the supplier or the recipient, the place of supply shall be the location of such goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. Here, supply does not involve movement of goods. What do you mean by this? This means that it is not that movement is difficult to do. Movement is possible, but goods doesn't move. Take for example.
Jitendra, please take me to the previous slide now. Just another previous slide. Yeah, here. 10(1)(c) says that where the goods does not require a movement, the location of the goods to be considered as the place of supply. So where we are in an example, we have considered the third party as A, and as per the directions of A, Mr. B, the supplier has delivered the goods at the location of the customer of B at location C, that is Karnataka. See, the transaction between A and B, we decide the place of supply basing on the principles of 10(1)(d). The transaction between A and C, now we will decide basing on the principles laid down in section 10(1)(c). That is where now the movement is not required from one place to another place. Where the goods are located, that is the goods are located in Karnataka, and the supplier, that is third party A, is located in Telangana. So it amounts to a interstate transaction. So IGST will be applicable. Am I right, Jitendra?
I just differ from you because the supply has to be decided then itself. No, I think 10(1)(a) applies here in this case.
So in this case, there is no movement of goods. The transaction between A and C. Yeah,
but the movement can be done by any other person. Here, B is any other person who is causing the effect movement.
But once the transaction between A and B is concluded.
Yes.
Once the transaction between A and B is concluded by way of delivery to C location.
Yes.
For A to raise an invoice to C, 10(1)(c) can be used.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Please continue.
Yeah. Okay. So, where I'll just read one more time. Where the supply does not involve movement of goods, whether by the supplier or the recipient, the place of supply shall be the location of such goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. So here, as we discussed, that it is not that delivery is difficult, but there is no movement at all. Let's take an example. If a tenant is vacating a premises and he has left furniture to be used by the landlord. So here the furniture is lying in the office of the owned by the landlord, and the tenant is selling it to the landlord. So there is no movement of happening in this scenario. What the section says is the location of such goods shall be the place of supply of the goods. Let us understand with an example. Supply does not involve movement of the goods. So sale of pre-installed DG set. In the same example, tenant leaves a generator in the premises and for the use of the landlord. And the tenant is, let's say, is a supplier who is based out of Delhi. The location of the recipient, that is the landlord, is Bhopal. Location of the goods is Bhopal, where the office is located. So place of supply in this case becomes Bhopal because the DG set is installed in located at Bhopal. And since the tenant is in this case tenant is located in Delhi and the place of supply is in Bhopal, two different states. So tax payable is IGST. IGST of Delhi has to be paid. Let's take one more example. Sometimes it happens that a job worker need to manufacture goods on behalf of principal. So once he needs to manufacture goods on behalf of principal, he needs a mold also to manufacture the goods. So what the principal says is to the job worker, you manufacture the mold and use it for the production of the goods. So keeping that in example, so here the supplier is the job worker. He is supplying mold to the principal, that is the manufacturer. In this example, the job worker is located in Tamil Nadu, and location of recipient, who is the principal manufacturer, who is asking the job worker to manufacture the goods, is located in Kerala, and place where the mold is manufactured is Tamil Nadu, place of job worker. So the place of supply becomes Tamil Nadu. Now the location of the supplier is in Tamil Nadu and the place of supply is in Tamil Nadu. So same state, so CGST of Tamil Nadu has to be paid. Moving forward, let's take an example. A businessman in Noida has an old car lying unused in his hometown in Sikkim. Since the goods are in Sikkim, then assuming he takes a casual registration in Sikkim because he cannot sell from Noida, so he has to take casual. Just for an example, let's say he's a casual taxable registration in Sikkim. Look, and he sells a car to the person in Sikkim, and the goods are located, the car is located in Sikkim. So the place of supply becomes Sikkim. So the location of supplier and the place of supplier are in the same states. So it is a CGST transaction. CGST and SGST of Sikkim has to be paid. So this completes the section 10(1)(c), where it deals about supply which does not involve movement of the goods. In this case, the place where the goods are located at the delivery to the recipient becomes the place of supply. Moving further, when the goods are assembled and installed at site, the first three provisions does not 10(1)(a) to 10(1)(c) speaks about movement of goods and no movement of the goods. Now 10(1)(d) discuss about goods are about assembly and installation at site. Let us understand the provision. The provision says where the goods are assembled or installed at site, the place of supply shall be the place of such installation or assembly. Let us understand that here the provision doesn't talk about works contract. Let us be very clear on this. Here the works contract, as per the definition of I think Schedule 2 of CGST Act, works contract is a service. The place of supply of service is discussed in section 12 and 13 and 14 also. So here it only talks about where the principal supply is goods, and it can be a composite supply where the principal supply is goods and some element of service is involved. In this case, the place of supply shall be the place of where the installation or assembly takes place. Let us understand with an example. Installation of a weighbridge. First, we should understand whether this weighbridge, installation of weighbridge falls under it's a good or not, or is it a composite supply where principal supply is good or not. So weighbridge, the most of the thing is it's a good supply of goods, and it also requires an installation. So it's a composite supply where the principal supply is goods. And I don't think it is a works contract because it can be dismantled. I mean, it doesn't result in an immovable property. So here in this case, the location of the supplier is in Delhi. Registered office is of the recipient is in Bhopal. Installation and assembly site is in Bhopal. As per the provision, where the assembly or installation takes place is the place of supply. So as per this provision, Bhopal is the place of supply. Now, the location of the supplier is in Delhi and the place of supply is Bhopal, two different states. So IGST of Delhi has to be paid. Let's take one more example. Server supplied and installed at the office of marketing firm. Servers is a computer's sale of goods. It requires some installation at office of in a marketing firm. So location of supplier, in this case, the person supplying computers is in Karnataka. Registered of the office of the recipient is in Goa. Please note that registered office of recipient is not important here. Only installation and assembly site is important, which is in Karnataka as per this example. So place of supply is Karnataka, installation or assembly site. Since the location of supplier and the place of supply are in the same state, CGST and SGST of Karnataka has to be paid. Moving forward, supply of workstations. Again, it is a composite supply where principal supply is goods with some element of services involved. Location of supplier is Gujarat. Registered office of recipient is in Gujarat. Installation and assembly site is in Kerala. So place of supply becomes Kerala. So location of supplier is Gujarat. Place of supply Kerala, two different states. It is a case of interstate supply. So IGST of Gujarat has to be paid. So this completes my discussion on section 10(1)(d), which is supply of goods where assembly, there is an element of installation and it has to be assembled. Going forward, this is the last section in 10 subsection 1, domestic transaction. Goods supplied on board a conveyance. Where the goods are supplied on board a conveyance, including a vessel, an aircraft, a train, or a motor vehicle, the place of supply shall be the location at which such goods are taken on board. Here, this talks about specific transaction. I mean, the journey, the sale of goods happening on a conveyance. A conveyance includes a vessel, an aircraft, a train, or a motor vehicle. Just try to understand that there are again here two transactions. One between the one supplier of goods to the operator of the conveyance, and there is another transaction between operator of the conveyance and the passenger traveling in that conveyance. This provision talks about the second transaction which I discussed. That is between the operator of the conveyance and the passenger traveling in that conveyance. The first leg of the transaction, that is the supplier of goods to the operator of conveyance, has to be dealt in different sections. I mean, it should be from dealt in 10(1)(a), I think. Yes, 10(1)(a). So let us understand this with an example. So supply of goods supplied on board a conveyance. So supply of power bank on a flight. So the flight, let's say an Indigo flight. The Indigo, let's say, is registered in Punjab. So the location of supplier is in Punjab. Loading of goods, I mean the power bank happens in Punjab. passenger boards at Delhi. So here, as per the provision, the place of supply is the where the goods are loaded. I mean, the location at which the goods are loaded on board is the place of supply. Here, the goods are loaded at Punjab, so the place of supply is Punjab. Since the location of the supplier and the place of supply are in two states, or same states, CGST and SGST of Punjab has to be paid. Second example, sale of playing card mixtures by their salesperson during the journey. Let's say train journey. Location of supplier, Pune. Let's say IRCT is having office at Pune. Loading of goods happens at Goa. I mean, the cards are loaded at Goa. And the passenger boards at Hyderabad. So as per the provision of section 10(1)(e), place of supply will be the where the goods are loaded, that is Goa. Since both are in different states, IGST at Pune has to be paid. Third example, sale of sunglasses on a ship. Location of supplier, that is the ship operator, is in Bombay or Bangalore, sorry. Loading of goods happens at Chennai. Passenger boards at Cochin. So place of supply is loading of goods, that is Chennai. Location of supplier is Bangalore. Place of supply is in Chennai. Two different states. So IGST at Bangalore has to be paid. So this completes place of supply of goods for domestic transaction. There is one more subsection. I'll just summarize this. First is supply. Section 10(1)(a) speaks about supply involves movement of goods, either way by the supplier or by the recipient or any other person. Here, the place of supply shall become the location of goods at the time at which the movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Second provision, goods supplied on direction of third person. Here in this case, the principal place of business of the third person, that is who is directing the movement of goods, shall become the place of supply of goods. Third provision, supply does not involve movement of goods. In this case, the location at which the goods are delivered to the recipient becomes the place of supply of goods. Then 10(1)(d). 10(1)(d) talks about supply of goods where some element of service is involved, like it requires assembly or installation at place. There, the place of installation or assembly becomes the place of supply. And finally, goods supplied on board a conveyance. Here, the location at which the goods are boarded on the conveyance becomes the place of supply. Further, section 10 subsection 2 says, where none of the above rules apply, the place of supply should be determined in the manner to be prescribed. As of now, there are no rules prescribed under the Act, so this we can ignore it. So let us, sir, can you, just a moment. There are few more examples for 10(1)(a) because it requires better understanding. 10(1)(a) and 10(1)(b), there are few more illustrations. 10(1)(a) speaks about supply involves movement of goods. So in case of supply involving movement of goods, the place where the goods terminates for delivery to the recipient is the place of supply of goods. So here, supplier's factory is located in Orissa. Termination of movement for delivery happens at Assam. So place of supply is Assam. So since both are in different states, tax payable is IGST. IGST is payable at Orissa. Section 10(1)(a) read with 296(a) of CGST Act. Section 296(a) of the Act says the removal of goods happens by the supplier. So just it is information purpose, nothing to worry about. So supplier is located in Orissa and he is causing the movement of the goods. and the movement, termination of movement is happening at Orissa. So place of supply becomes Orissa. So tax payable is same state, CGST and SGST of Orissa. Movement of goods by the recipient. I mean, the goods collected by the recipient and he's causing the delivery of the goods. So in this case, supplier is located in Kerala. Termination for movement of delivery happens at Goa. Place of supply is Goa. Since location of supplier and the place of supply is in two different states, tax payable, it is in case of interstate supply, and tax payable is IGST. Final example. Section 10(1)(a) read with Section 2 subsection 96 class B of CGST Act. Section 2 subsection 96B states that here the removal is caused by recipient or his agent. So in this case also there is no change. So let us understand this also. Supplier's factory is located in Kerala. Termination of for the moment of delivery happens by the Kerala, and who is removing the goods? The supplier himself is removing the goods. Place of supply, even if the supplier removes the goods, becomes Kerala. Since location of supplier and the place of supply is in same state, CGST and SGST is payable in Kerala. Now, few more illustrations for 10(1)(b). 10(1)(b) is where the supply involves movement of goods on the direction of third person. So we will discuss here transaction between the original supplier to the third person and the third person to the recipient. Both will discuss here, such that it is a threadbare. Case 1. Here, Sita is the principal supplier, Ram is recipient of goods, and the Lakshman is the third person directing the movement of goods. So here we are discussing place of supply for Sita. So, and the transaction here we are discussing is transaction between Sita and Lakshman. Okay? Transaction between Lakshman and Ram we'll discuss in the below. Here, Sita, supplier is located in Ahmedabad. Place of delivery of Ram, the recipient, it happens in Ahmedabad. Lakshman, who directs the delivery, is located in Amritsar. So the place of supply for Sita is the principal place of third person, that is Amritsar. Location of supplier is Ahmedabad. Place of supply Amritsar. Different state, IGST of Ahmedabad has to be paid by Sita. Second example. Location of supplier Sita is Ahmedabad. Place of delivery Amritsar. Principal place of third person Lakshman is Amritsar. Place of supply for Sita is the place of business third person. Again, it is Amritsar. So again, both are in different state. IGST at Ahmedabad has to be paid. Third example. Location of supplier Ahmedabad. Place of delivery of goods Bangalore. Principal place of Lakshman Bangalore. Supplier is located in Ahmedabad. Third person is located in Bangalore. The principal place of third person is Bangalore. Both are in different state. So IGST is payable at Ahmedabad. Fourth example. Location of supplier Ahmedabad. Place of delivery of goods to Ram, Chandigarh. Principal place of Lakshman, third person, is Udaipur. Place of supply for Sita is Udaipur, third person, principal place of business. Since both Sita and Lakshman are in two different states, so IGST at Ahmedabad has to be paid. Now, this is the transaction between the principal supplier and the third person. Now, let us discuss transaction between Lakshman and Ram, that is the recipient, third person and the recipient. Now, location of supplier Sita is Ahmedabad. This becomes irrelevant now because we are discussing between transaction between the third person and the final recipient. The final recipient is in Ahmedabad. Now, Lakshman, third person, is located in Amritsar. Now, the goods are terminating delivery at Ahmedabad. So place of supply for Lakshman is Ahmedabad, where the goods terminates delivery to the recipient, that is Ram. So place of supply is Ahmedabad. Location of supplier Lakshman is in Amritsar. Place of supply, that is Ahmedabad. Since location of supplier and the place of supplier in two different states, IGST has to be paid by Lakshman. That is in Amritsar is in Punjab, so IGST of Punjab has to be paid. Second example, location of Sita, Ahmedabad. Place of delivery of goods to Ram, Amritsar. Place of third person, principal place, Amritsar. So place of supply is where the goods are delivered, Amritsar. Location of supplier and the place of supplier in same state, so CGST and SGST of Punjab has to be paid. Third example, location of supplier Sita is in Ahmedabad. Place of delivery Bangalore. Place of third person Bangalore. Here, place of where the goods are delivered, terminates delivery is Bangalore. So place of supply for Lakshman is Bangalore. Since both are in same state, supplier and place of supplier in same state, CGST and SGST of Karnataka has to be paid. Fourth example, location of supplier Sita is in Ahmedabad, which is not relevant. Place of delivery to Ram, recipient Chandigarh. Principal place of third person Udaipur. Place of supply here becomes the place of business delivery to Ram, Chandigarh. Both are in different state, location of supplier and place of supplier in two different states. So IGST at Rajasthan has to be paid. So this completes my presentation on place of supply of domestic transaction. Pankaj sir, can you please load the poll question, sir?
Which one, the fourth question?
No, sir. From 1 to 5, you can just line by line, one by one. You can just 1 to 5.
I think this is the first question, no? Which of the following supply involves in intra-state supply? Is this the one?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll read out the question, sir. Which of the following supply involves movement of goods is an intrastate supply? Location of supplier in Kerala, place of supply in Tamil Nadu, location of supplier in Karnataka, and place of supply in Karnataka. Location of supplier in Kerala, place of supply in Andhra Pradesh. None of the above. Option D.
A sort of unanimity is coming here. Yeah, I think none of the above is 1%, so we have to just write. Basically, in between intrastate and interstate, what is it? Can you just tell that one as an example, Patel?
Yes, sir. So if the location and location of the supplier and the place of supply are in two different states or two different union territories or one state and one union territory, it is an interstate supply. What is intrastate supply? If the location of the supplier and the place of supply of goods, which we discussed now, are in the same state, it is an intrastate supply. So in this case, option B is correct, where the location of supplier is in Karnataka and the place of supply is in Karnataka.
Yeah, so 90% of the people were listening to you. And no, in fact, most of them had answered when I asked you to differentiate, because two people had taken it in a different way, and one was none of the above. For their benefit, I said. So just to make it clear, if it is between Telangana and Telangana, it is intrastate, and if it is Telangana and Andhra, interstate. Yeah, right. So thank you. Maybe Sikram, sir. Next, you want me to go to another poll?
Yes, sir. Yes, continuous.
Yeah, I think just check. Can we put it?
Yes.
Because the order might be here or there.
Oh, okay. A mobile store owner in Bangalore sells a mobile phone to a chartered accountant registered under GST in state of Telangana at his store in Bangalore. What is the place of supply of sale of mobile phone to store owner? Is it Karnataka or Telangana?
Just when I was
I have taken the example without knowing this poll question, but it happens to be the same question which I've answered.
I know,
in previous thing.
Satish bhai. Yeah, in between, can you start explaining, Jitendra bhai, why it is not Telangana?
Sir, actually, me and Satish, sir, I mean, I think, according to my view, uh, uh, even the movement of goods can be undertaken by the recipient of goods. So I think if taking the principles of destination-based tax, and the person will definitely use the mobile phone. He'll come back to the Telangana state. I think it's 10(1)(a) applies, and I think the place of supply should be Telangana. But Mr. Satish Sharaf has a different view. He says where the risk and rewards are transferred, the place of supply should be Karnataka. Since it is happening in Karnataka, it should be Karnataka. So we have different views here.
Yeah, but I think being in a democracy, will go with majority views. 31 people with 89% says Karnataka. Satish bhai, I'll also go with Karnataka, and you have gone with Karnataka. So I just end this polling and I'll go to next polling.
Yes, sir.
And thank you everyone who is participating in the polling. Kindly give the answer. It doesn't matter. No exams, no CP hours. Place of supply of food.
Please display the results.
Oh, sorry.
Second
I
question.
think I'll do for this one. Sorry. Or I'll see if I can go to polling 2. Yeah, share results. Sir. Okay, Satish bhai, shall I go to the next one?
Please. I think today I'm not the co-host because I am the moderator.
Oh, sorry. You want me to make it, sir? I'll definitely.
No, please don't make me.
When I'm there to serve you, why are you bothered, Satish bhai? Place of supply of food taken on board at Delhi for an aircraft departing from Delhi to Bangalore via Hyderabad is. It's interesting when even one person puts it in another way. So it becomes our duty to explain that. Why no?
Yeah. Here, what happened? Yeah. Here.
Let it be. Just okay. Now you can start saying why it cannot be Hyderabad.
Yes. So as per the provision, it deals only for the supply of goods taken on board. There is a specific provision under place of supply of goods, that is section 10, subsection 1E, which says which deals with goods supplied on board. Under this provision, the place where the goods are onboarded, the conveyance, is the place of supply. Here, goods are taken on board at Delhi, so Delhi becomes the place of supply of goods.
Shall I go to next question? Satish
Yes,
bhai,
please.
anything?
No. Please.
And in fact, I hope people are enjoying the poll questions and all. Place of supply in case of installation of
Sir,
elevator.
it is not coming, sir. Screen.
Sorry, no, yeah, sorry. Now has it come?
Yes, it is come.
Request everyone to answer. Come on, this.
Place of supply in case of installation of elevator. Where the delivery of elevator is taken, where the installation of elevator is made.
You are able to see the results, Jitendra and Satish
No,
bhai?
no,
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 huh?
No, 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 no.
Arey, very interestingly.
That's the reason I asked you, please display the
Oh, sorry.
results.
No, I thought the trend, the way polling happens also, I thought you'll be able to see. I don't know who is giving what, but at least I know the number movement. I think 42 people have answered in about 1 minute. So I'll end polling and I'll share the results.
So 8 people are taken wrongly.
yeah.
I think
So-
we need to explain it more.
Yeah. So here, installation of elevator. First, we have to see whether it fits in. It is a good or not. Whether place of supply of goods supplies or not. So in case of elevator, the major portion is supply of goods, and installation is a minor part. I mean, so the principal supply is place of supply of goods. So the place of supply of goods has to be used here. Section 10, subsection 1, class, excuse me, D says that where the goods are assembled or installed, the place of such installation or assembly becomes the place of supply of such goods. So here the answer is where the installation of elevator is made.
Okay. Shall I?
Next poll, please.
Yeah, I think don't go by the result. I think this is done.
This is not coming, sir. Still not coming. It's not on the screen.
Oh, sorry. No, I think
This is over. This is over. There is L&T Mumbai.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Start. I think poll has started. Not even a single answer coming, sir. Yeah, I think now we got. Sir.
Yeah, the question is big, no, sir. It's a reason.
Jitendra, that makes me happy. That people are reading and then answering. I think, yeah, I'm ending the polling because 1 minute is over. I'm sharing the results also as in.
Yeah, I would like to supplement here.
Sambamurthy sir, nahi ho sakta. You can repeat the question. It is only done in independent director exam. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Satish.
Here, the question asked by the poll, Jitendra asked that L&T Mumbai supplies switchgear to a person B in Hyderabad on the direction of a dealer of A in Hyderabad. What is the nature of GST to be charged by?
Satish bhai, Jitendra, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Maybe Satish bhai is there. Got stuck.
Yeah.
See, Satish bhai. So here, the supplier is of Mumbai, the person on whose direction it. Satish bhai, you are there?
Here only.
Yeah, please take it.
Yeah. If L&T Limited, for the purpose of this contract, imports the material from Singapore and deliver to Mr. A of Hyderabad as per the directions of Mr. B, whether it would be a interstate transaction, intrastate transaction, or it is in the course of import.
Sir, come again once.
to deliver the goods, which the L&T Limited has to deliver the goods to at Hyderabad to Mr. A as per the to Mr. B as per directions of Mr. B. To deliver this, import the material from Singapore, deliver the goods to Hyderabad. Now, whether this transaction is import, interstate or intrastate. The Supreme Court of India, in the case of KG Ghosla and Company, also in ABB Limited case, held that it is in the course of import. Because the import has occasioned only for the purpose of delivering the switchgear to customer. So the entire transaction has to be viewed as one transaction. It cannot be split into two. That was KG Ghosla and Company judgment by Supreme Court, also in ABB Limited recent 2018 judgment by the Supreme Court. And section 10(1)(a), it says where there is a movement of goods from one place to another place, the place of supply where the delivery terminates and the location of the supplier, that is the considered. There are 2 points are taken. One is the location of the supplier, and the second point is the where the terminate end, that will become the place of supply. If you look at the same analogy, if you adopt first a transaction in section 10(1)(e), say a passenger is boarding the flight in Srinagar and he wanted to land, he want to travel till Chennai, Tamil Nadu. So in between, it may be in the mid-air, maybe at Himachal Pradesh, he consumes an apple. And again, in the air around Punjab province, he consumes 1 cup of coffee. And in the mid-air, around over and above the Bhopal area, he purchases a biscuit packet and consumes in the aircraft. And I go further down in Hyderabad, where just above the Hyderabad, he purchases a pen in the aircraft and travels to Tamil Nadu and its journey terminates. So in all these cases, it will be very difficult for the government to decide what is the place of supply. So basing on section 10(1)(a), if you go for these 4 or 5 transactions, there will be 4 or 5 places of supply. So for the airlines to decide the place of supply, it will become a help for them for their life, because 130 customers, 120 each customer takes the 5 transactions, then it will be 650 transactions in one single flight. If they have thousands of flights flying across the world, then it will be very difficult to decide what is the place of supply and what is the levy has to be made. To overcome this situation, government smartly they have thought and they have put a condition that where the goods are loaded into the conveyance, maybe whatever the place it is loaded, that will become the place of supply, and the place of location of the supplier, wherever that Indigo or the Air India, wherever they have the registration, that will become the place of supply. That is the reason for why this kind of provision was brought into the legislation. And section 10 subsection 2 says that where a place of supply of goods cannot be determined, the place of supply shall be determined in such manner as may be prescribed. So the government will issue notification in this regard, what will the place of supply if you are unable to decide basing on the principles laid down in section 10(1). So far, such kind of a notification, I think, has not come out. But if you look at section 7, 8, and 9 of the IGST Act, which maybe after a couple of days, Venkat Prasad is going to take up, that says that wherever you are unable to decide whether the transaction is interstate or intrastate, the IGST Act takes that as a deeming fiction, you consider it as a interstate transaction by IGST. By a deeming fiction is brought. So section 10(2) says wherever it is not possible, the government will notify what is the place of supply. That one saving is there in section 10 subsection 2. Also, if you read combined reading of section 7, 8 and 9 of the IGST Act, again it says that where it is not possible to determine a transaction as an intrastate, then it should be considered as an interstate transaction. That is what principles that is laid out. So I request Jitendra to continue the session.
Yes. So, so thank you for the participation. Moving forward, let us discuss the second final agenda. That is, we have already discussed about place of supply of goods for domestic transaction. Now let us discuss about international transaction. That is section 11. So first, let us understand what are the important sections which we need to understand. First is section 2, subsection 56 of CGST, which defines India. Section 2, subsection 4 of IGST, which defines customs frontier of India. The third section is section 2, subsection 5 of IGST, which defines export of goods. And finally, section 2, subsection 10, IGST of IGST, import of goods. First, let us understand what is India. So, India means the territory of India, as referred to in Article 1 of the Constitution. Its territorial waters, seabed and subsoil underlying such waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zones, other maritime zone as referred to in territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone, and other maritime zone Act 1976, and the airspace above its territory and its territorial water. What is customs frontier of India? Customs frontier of India means the limit of custom area as defined in section 2 of the Customs Act 1962. It is the place where the goods are ordinarily kept by the customs authority for either removal or delivery for home consumption. For moving forward, let us understand what is export of goods and import of goods. Export of goods. With its grammatical variation and cognizant expression means taking goods out of India to a place out of India. Please note that there has to be physical movement of goods from India, what we have discussed earlier, to a place outside India. Then only it is export. Otherwise, it is not an export. Further, let us discuss import of goods. With import of goods, with its grammatical variation and cognate expressions, means bringing goods into India from a place outside India. It means physically the goods have to come from a place outside India to place inside India. Then only it is import of goods. Further, who is an importer? As per section 2, subsection 26 of the Customs Act, importer in relation to any goods at any time before the importation and at the time they are cleared for home consumption includes any owner or any other person holding himself out to be importer. The government says it includes any owner or any other person holding himself out to be the importer. What does it mean? Say, for example, in case of high sea sale transaction, where an importer sells the goods to some other person. In this case, the ownership of goods gets transferred to other person. In that case, the other person becomes the importer of the goods. Okay? So section 11 says, the place of supply of goods imported into or exported from India shall be as below. What is that? Section 11, subsection A says, in case of goods imported into India, the location of importer. 11B, in case of goods exported from India, the location outside India. Now, what is location of importer? The location of importer is the place where bill of entry is filed. The address in which is mentioned in the bill of entry shall be the location of the importer. And what is location outside India? It is the place where the shipping bill is generated or yeah, the address mentioned, I mean, where the goods are moving to a place outside India, which is mentioned in the shipping bill, shall be the location outside India. Note, Section 5 of provides that IGST shall be levied on goods imported into India as per Section 3 of Customs Tariff Act. That is, I mean, when the goods are imported, IGST will be levied apart from basic customs duty. Further, the point of taxation will be when duties of customs are levied on the said goods. Yeah, this is, I mean, it's not related to place of supply of goods, but just for general information. Now let us discuss the place of supply in case of import transaction. Case 1, location of supplier means the person who is exporting the goods is Thailand, and the location of goods before supply is Thailand, and goods supplied to Assam. Now, first we have to check whether this is an import transaction or not. For import to happen, the goods have to move from a place outside India to inside India. So since goods are moving from Thailand to Assam, it is an import of the goods. In case of import of the goods, the location of the importer is the place of supply. Here, place of supply becomes the Assam. Second case, the location of supplier of goods, China. Location of goods before supply, China. Goods supplied to Kashmir. So since goods are moving from place outside India to India, it is an import of goods. Location of recipient, Haryana. And the goods are supplied to Kashmir. Here the location of recipient is not important. Only where the place where the goods are supplied to, or the address which is mentioned in the bill of entry, is the place of supply of goods. So in this case, Kashmir is the place of supply of goods. Third case, location of supplier, Sri Lanka. Location of goods before supply, Sri Lanka. Goods supplied to Kerala. Goods are moving from a place outside India to India, so it is an import. Location of recipient, Kerala. So here the goods are supplied to Kerala. So the place of location of importer is Kerala. So place of supply is Kerala. Fourth example, location of supplier is in Karnataka. Goods supply, location of goods before supply, Iran. Goods supplied to Dubai. Here there is a catch. The goods are located before importing Iran, and the goods are supplied to Dubai. That means the goods are not entering into India. The location of recipient is not relevant. Location of supplier is not relevant. So this is not a case of import, and no GST will be levied in this transaction. Further, moving further, let us discuss illustrations about export of goods, section 11B. Location of supplier, I mean the person who is exporting the goods, is Assam. Location of goods before export, Assam. Goods supplied to Thailand, it's a place outside India. Location of recipient, Assam. So this is a case of export. So location outside India becomes the place of supply. Here, the location outside India is Thailand, and it is an export of goods. So place of supply is Thailand. Second example, location of recipient is not important. Second example, location of supplier, Tamil Nadu. Location of goods, Kashmir. Goods supplied to China. So goods are moving from India, Kashmir, India to China. So it is an export of goods. Location of recipient, Texas. So it's a place outside India, and it should be the address mentioned in the shipping bill. I mean, where the goods ultimately move. Location of recipient is not important. So goods ultimate move is supplied to China. So place of supply becomes China. Third example, location of supplier, Sri Lanka, location of goods before export, Kerala, goods supplied to Sri Lanka, location of recipient, person who is importing the goods is in Sri Lanka. So goods are moving from Kerala to Sri Lanka, export of goods. So place of supply is goods supplied to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka is the place of supply. Case 4, location of supplier, Maharashtra, location of goods, Dubai, goods supplied to, one moment, this, Iran, location of recipient, Iran. Here, the goods are moving from Dubai to Iran. I mean, it is not, goods movement is not happening from India. Hence, it is not a case of export. So it is not an export, and no GST will be levied in this transaction. So these complete illustrations. Pankaj sir, there are 2 more questions. Can you please load it?
In the polling, I could take only 5 questions. The other 2 are coming in between. So I think I have to start Zoom meeting half an hour before. If you want me to put the question now, I'll put it.
Yeah, the 2 question is for import and export of goods.
Yeah, 1 second, I'll put it. Just a second, because what I tried, no, when I tried to put it, suddenly you stopped, so I just kept quiet. Question number
6.
Okay, 1 second. Once it starts, it's a big exercise. Meanwhile, if there's anything you continue, I will just try to do something. Okay.
Actually, this ends, actually, it is my end of my presentation.
Then I think Satish bhai, can you add? Yeah, I think I'm able to come up to that point. Just a minute.
So I'll be joining now as a moderator, not as a co-speaker or a co-host.
Yes, just Satish bhai, थोड़ा मैं 1 second लगता.
On the occasion of Chartered Accountants Day and the GST Day and the Doctors Day, I wish all those who are attending and not attending this seminar or webinar a warm Chartered Accountants Day and also the GST Day. That we have completed 3 years yesterday, and today we are at the first day of 4th year. And also any person who Vaidyo Narayana Hari, so for them also it is a Doctors Day, so my wishes to doctors also and Doctors Day. While we are discussing on the first day on 24th June 2020, Sudhir was saying that most of the provisions of VAT with respect to assessment is drawn from VAT laws, and some provisions of the law like administration, assessment are drawn from the service tax law, and valuation rules are taken from the customs law. Like that, various flavors we see in the GST law. When it comes to the place of supply of domestic transaction, the principles are lifted from Central Sales Tax Act. The place of supply principle for import and export are taken from the Customs Act. And to decide what is the place of supply with respect to services, they are taken from the service tax law. So the provisions of these 3 laws put together in section 10, 11, 12, 13. Section 10 is drawn from VAT, section 11 is drawn from the Customs Act, and section 12, 13 are drawn from the, and even 14 also drawn from the service tax law. If you clearly look into the provisions of Central Sales Tax Act before implementation of the GST, they used to say that what is an interstate sale, what is the sale outside the state, and what is import and export, that were the provisions under the CST law. And CST law says that where the occasion the movements from one state to another state, that was considered as a interstate transaction. Please.
I can
Please show the
launch
poll.
polling, Satish.
Yeah, please, please.
Uh, Again, I think both Jitendra and Satish have to, wow, exact, beautiful. Please answer, request everyone to answer because there's a tie in two places. But again, one has overtaken the other. Again, okay, 55. I'm ending the polling and sharing the results.
Uh, actually, the
Mixed,
answer
mixed
is,
reaction.
Yeah.
its answer is actually location of the importer.
Importer, yes. 38% are right.
This time the majority
Same.
rule does not. But I think Satish bhai, it's just better why in a gist if you can tell why place where the goods are delivered after clearance from custom port, why we should not do that, and why location of the importer. If you can just add one
So,
or two.
Pankaj bhai, in fiscal laws, the logic will not work here. But section 10(1), section 11A and 11B clearly says that the location of the importer will become the place of supply in case of import. And the location of the exporter will become the place of supply in case of export. So, in deciding the place of supply for import, we have to consider the location where the recipient is located. Say, if I am importing crude oil from Iran and my place of supply is in Hyderabad, but the goods have landed at Visakhapatnam port. And Vizag port, that is Vizag Port Authority or the custom station of Vizag, the goods are cleared for home consumption at Vizag. So here the Vizag will not become the place of supply. From Vizag to terminate the import, the goods will reach Hyderabad ultimately. So the Hyderabad will become the place of supply for import, not the Vizag. That is what the section 11A says that.
Thank you, great Satish bhai. I'll just sharing the another poll. Can you read out? I'll read out. Supply of goods by registered person A in Hyderabad directly procuring from person B in Dhaka, Bangladesh to person C in Texas, USA. Whether the same would be covered by definition of import or export of goods.
What majority says, Pankaj bhai?
I don't want to influence the voting. Just 2 more seconds, and yeah, I'm ending the polling. In fact, for most of the sorry, yeah, you're able to see. Yeah, right.
No.
No, it just went away.
And one second, relaunch polling, continue, and I'll share results. Arey, sorry, Satish bhai. What had happened was first it went on neck, and then it so happened that 22 people said no, and 11 people said yes.
Well, 22 people are correct.
Correct.
Yeah. So now
So
again, I think
for this last poll, I would like to share some thoughts here. See, section 7 of the CGST Act deal with supply, and in this act, Schedule 3 deals with the transactions which are not supply at all. So a transaction which is happening outside India, that means a transaction, a person who is located in India and his supplier is in Dubai, outside India, and customer is also outside India. The moment the goods will never enter into India, and the movement take place outside India, but from one country to another country. This was not considered as a non-supply transaction in Schedule 3. Initially, there was a lot of litigation on this point, and a few people went for advance rulings in this regard. So, you know, the advance ruling authorities, they are just the officers of the department, so they are very greedy of the revenue. They say that because the supplier is in India, so the goods will be taxable to GST, or the money is coming into India, so the transaction will be taxable. Like that, they have given a lot of advance rulings. Ultimately, the government has opened their eyes and their wisdom prevailed, and the government came forward and they have amended the Schedule 3. And they say that any transaction of goods happening outside India between two countries other than India, that will be outside the supply definition. So now all the transactions which are happening outside India will not be considered as supply in India. So one great thing has happened that the amendment has given us great relief. So I was talking about Central Sales Tax Act. Section 3 was said that where the occasions the movement of goods from one state to another state, thus that was the consideration considering as a interstate movement. So there where occasions the movement for the reason, for the contract, for the agreement, for the obligation of the supplier to send the goods to the recipient under a contract, that occasioning of goods from one state to another state was considered as the interstate movement. If the movement is within the state, thus was subjected to a state VAT Act, and the transaction between two states was subjected to Central Sales Tax. Coming to the levy under the Central Sales Tax Act, there in the VAT Act, the state VAT Acts, the provisions does not contain relating to the interstate or export or import. The levy says that the sale taken place inside the state. So Telangana Act defines the state as state of Telangana will be considered as the state. That is the meaning assigned to is defined in the Telangana VAT Act. So it says the sale transaction took place in the state of Telangana will be subjected to Telangana VAT Act. That means all intrastate transaction before GST were subjected to Telangana, and all the interstate transaction between two states where it occasions the movement from one state to another state, it was subjected to Central Sales Tax, and it was CST was levied. If both are registered persons and there was a concessional rate of tax of 2% was available, and if any one person is unregistered, then full rate of tax either 14.5% or 5% was available. So there is a lot of fight between the traders for statutory reforms. All these things were there. To remove the hardship of statutory reform, the government thought in GST at least will remove the statutory reforms and will end the fight for the statutory reform. Now they say that everything, whether it is between two registered dealers or unregistered dealer or whatever, whoever it is, the full rate of tax has to be paid and full amount will be given as the input tax rate. Because under the VAT laws, the CST paid of 2% was not given as an input tax credit. So it was creating a cascading effect of taxation. To remove that, one of the reason is GST also. So this was the source for the principles determining what is the sale in the course of interstate sale or in the course of intrastate, or whether it is an import or export. Those were the provisions before GST. Now coming to the GST, there are only basically two sections which deal with the goods. One is section 10 and section 11. So to decide that, there are 5 situations given in the domestic transactions and 2 situations for the international transaction. Anyone fit into those transactions, we have to make it fit into those 5 provisions. If it is a domestic transaction, if does not fit into those 5 situations, then as per IGST Act, it will amount to IGST transactions. I think we have 5 questions to be answered here. We'll move to those questions.
Yeah, but Jitendra, can you just stop share on the top of it? Stop shares. Top में वो जो green पट्टी के बाजू रहता है.
Yes.
Stop
Yes.
share. Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
Right, thank you.
Satish bhai, you want me to read the question because you have also been speaking?
Not required. I can manage.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Mike. So the question is from Lenovo K8 Note. Can the recipient claim ITC in Telangana, sir? I think this question is raised with respect to where I am purchasing the pen from a store in Bangalore and moving to Hyderabad, or from Bangalore if I am moving to Delhi, or from Bangalore if I am moving to USA. In that context, the question is asked. So when an invoice is raised in Karnataka on the region, as an intrastate transaction, I think the recipient cannot claim the input tax credit in
Yes.
on Telangana. That is one thing. The second question is that is GST, that is CGST and SGST in Telangana. Sir, yes, the answer I think it is not total. Then we have third question. Chandrasekhar Vemula, if the supplier of A of Hyderabad is supplying computers to the marketing office of B at Bangalore, B is registered on the state of Telangana only, is not yet registered in Bangalore, please slide the GST implication in this regard. So when Jitendra, would you like to answer? Shall I answer this?
Yeah, it is. Here in this case, we have to see it involves installation also. If supplying computers to marketing, here is a pure supply of goods. I mean, the goods is terminating at Bangalore, so the place of supply should be Bangalore. The fact is not registered in Bangalore doesn't guide this transaction. That is my view.
Yeah, Jitendra, here the ego of the queryist will not satisfy here. You want to say how you advise him to come out of this situation to get the input tax credit. That is the crux of the question where we need to our judgment. So Chandrasekhar, I advise you, please design this transaction into bill to ship to model, where it is billed to Telangana and shipped to Bangalore, such that the Telangana office will get the input tax credit. Later, you have to bill to the Bangalore office and pay the IGST accordingly. Then there is no point in planning also. But if you can make it as a bill to ship to model, at least you can take the input tax credit in Telangana. From wherever you are billing to Bangalore office as a distinct person, you can bill, you have to raise an invoice on the market price, or where the other person is able to take the full input tax credit at any price. Yesterday we have decided at any price you can make the invoice. The next question is on section 10(1)(e) deals with high sea sales. I trust, for example, timber loaded in Tuticorin is sold mid-sea while on voyage to, say, Mumbai. So 10(1) is deals with where the transaction is happening midway. Midway, maybe mid-air or mid-track or mid-road, where the transaction in a conveyance it is happening, that transaction is covered. The example given you here, you have to look into the section 10(1) or section 11 of the IGST Act. This 10(1)(e) will not work here. Next, Chandrasekhar, in the question of poll, that is L&T, if the goods are imported for the purpose of delivery at Hyderabad by the supplier of Mumbai. I'll read the question once. In the question of poll, that is L&T, if the goods are imported for the purpose to deliver at Hyderabad by supplier of Mumbai, if the transaction is import, to whom this will be import? Is it is to the recipient at Hyderabad or to the supplier at Mumbai? How the supplier will at Mumbai will bill the recipient at Hyderabad? So before GST came into the implement, before GST, this for this question answer is total transaction fall under the import leg. It cannot be considered as interstate or interstate. But once the GST is implemented, the provisions of Central Sales Tax Act will not prevail over the GST law. So now the L&T and the supplier in Mumbai, the transaction will become import transaction, and from Mumbai to Hyderabad, it will become a IGST transaction. Sir, for conducting exhibition, we put stall in different states and the exhibitors are using SGST and CGST invoice as they are registered in the state. Can we take up input as we are registered in Telangana and the exhibitor is registered in Karnataka? So here the Swati madam, here the exhibitor, whenever he is coming to other state, he has to take as a casual taxable person registration, and then he has to comply the law. Simply from Karnataka or from other state, if he comes to Hyderabad or Telangana and sells the goods and move away, it will not be permitted like that. He has to take his temporary registration, and basing on that registration, he has to issue a tax invoice. And basing on the tax invoice, the registered person in Telangana can take the input tax.
Maybe Swati wants to talk something, Satish bhai.
Please permit her, na?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
you can speak.
Yes,
Yes,
madam.
sir. Actually, they conduct exhibition for 3 days, and in a month they are conducting in 4 different states for 3 days. As we have to take more than 20-30 registration, casual registration during the year, how
Madam,
should we go about
if you want to do business, you have to take. There is no alternative.
20 registration?
And section 24 says that any casual person has to take registration mandatorily. There is no exception to him. He has to take, if he is conducting exhibitions across India in 28 states, then he has to take 28 registrations. And the casual registration is not more than 180 days. The registration will be given. He has to take registration, surrender, pay the tax, and surrender the registration.
Sir, can we take the CGST component input, leaving aside SGST component?
No, madam. No, madam. That is not permitted.
That is also not permitted?
Not permitted, yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It's a business.
I think we come to conclusion of the session.
Yes.
And
अच्छा बिजनेस है ना भाभी, रजिस्ट्रेशन में एक आदमी को रखे तो कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन के पैसे मिलते रहते, बिलिंग करते रहते.
That's true.
Thank you. And
and
yeah, we have
friends,
come to end of it. So first, Jitendra.
एक 2 minute.
Sorry, bolo.
Friends, tomorrow, 2nd July 2020, the session is place of supply of services domestic, and the speaker is CA Vamshi Krishna J, and the moderator is Maninder Kakarla. So tomorrow we will be covering section 12 of the IGST Act. Just only one section, section 12 of the IGST Act. I request all the participants, please read at least once before attending this session, which will be fruitful for you. Over to Pankaj bhai.
Yeah, sorry, Satish, I just in between only I placed this because I was just testing it. Jitendra, thank you very much. The hard work done by you was visible, and frankly, very simple way, just talking to us as a student. You have tried to give so many examples. I remember it is like doing the maths problem where there were 50 problems in the textbook. Problem number 1 was done by sir, and next 4 to, I think 2, 3, 4, 5 were similar problems we used to do. But here you are again done all those problems for us. And thank you. A person like me could also understand a bit of place of supply now. Thank you very much. So please accept this. As I've been telling, believe me, after this thing is over, we will definitely hand it over the hard copy properly framed to you. Satish bhai, for a moderator, kindly accept this. Program director Satish bhai is entirely different. And on the GST day, I think to a GST person, it's a thank you very much from the branch to both of
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
Satish bhai, shall we close it or
Yes,
anything else?
please.
Yeah.
Please.
So, friends, it was really a great thing today because see, one good thing was that I don't know why the number of people who attended today was bit lower at 64, but throughout the program, I think till just 2 minutes back, we had entire 68, sorry, 68 people completely attended and stayed back. And that is a big achievement, Jitendra. So you can, I congratulate you for keeping people in the meeting. Okay. When people go out in front of everyone, it's not very easy for them. Even Vivek Narasimham sent a message to me saying that relatives have come, so excuse me, and then he left. But so great job, जितेंद्र भाई, सतीश भाई. As usual, मैं आपको कुछ नहीं बोल सकता except a big thank you, and also thank you to everyone who attended, who asked questions, who said good things in the chart. And once again, I sign off with a happy Chartered Accountants Day, happy GST Day, and hope to see you on day 8. I think 50% is the completion today. And from tomorrow, we move on to the next 50%.
No, sir. No, sir. 1/3
15
completed today.
15, oh, sorry.
Only 1/3. 1/3.
I'm
1/3 is
sorry. So
completed.
it's still there. अच्छा लग
One
बहुत
way to
खुशी
go.
हो रही. Okay, so there are more classes. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm signing off. Bye bye.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.